What's up, everybody? I'm joined by two very special guests to have a look ahead to the Reds game against Manchester United coming up on Sunday, 4:30 p.m. To my bottom, I've got Ian Brewster. Ian, how are you, sir?
Hey, how you doing, Craig? You all right?
I'm good, mate. I'm getting more and more nervous as the days go by. I'm not going to lie to you, but I'm coping at the minute. I think that's the best way I can put it. What about you? Are you worried about this one?
Yes and no. I think it's the best game we could get, considering the blip we've been having at the moment. I think we need it. But if you'd have asked me this 3 or 4 weeks ago, I'd have had no worries at all. But since the blip, I'm a little bit worried, but I think we'll be able to turn on.
Hopefully we can, by the end of this conversation tonight, the three of us will have convinced ourselves that we're on for the win. And I know the man to my side here, Leon Blanche, is definitely positive around this game. We were having a little chat beforehand, Leon, and you're fully on board for the 3 points.
I absolutely am. Hey Ian, hey Craig. Listen, it's a massive game. There's no doubt about that. United are top, 3 points clear, but they're coming into our home, and our home has been a fortress. I mean, Liverpool's home record in the Premier League to go all the way back to April 2017 for the last defeat. I mean, that's a serious home record. And as Ian said, it has been a little bit of a blip. 2 points from 9 games is not what you would expect when you play West Brom, Newcastle and Southampton. But that's what we've got. But we forget about that. We can't change that. We've got to move on to Sunday. And I actually think Liverpool spending time with Klopp and just the players for the last week or 9 days, for him just to get a little bit of that mojo back, especially around, I think the top 3 have looked a little bit stale in the last kind of 3 games. There's been moments or flashes from individuals, but I think as a unit, which is why they operate so well, they've got to get back to that level. And I think Manchester United is the perfect opponent to do that.
Ian, the big conversation, and we'll probably go through and try and pick an 11 between us, but the big conversation, mate, is going to be around centre-back for Liverpool. And we don't know, as we're recording this, myself and Liam were frantically trying to find out if Joel Matip had trained. But worst case scenario, if he hasn't trained, who would you like to see partner Fabinho at that centre-back spot?
Definitely not Henderson. I would say Matt Phillips.
I'm going to push you a little bit further on this as to what draws you to Nat Phillips. And I'm only asking because I'm genuinely intrigued, because I've gone back and forth on this myself and convinced myself either or for both of them. So what puts Nat Phillips? Is it just experience alone maybe for ahead of Reece Williams?
He's got more experience than Reece. He's a proper old-fashioned defender, who gets stuck in. I believe in a game like this, with the way this VAR's going with his penalties and everything like that, we need someone who's going to stand their feet to me, have that big game experience. Obviously, he had the when he went to Germany,
Stuttgart.
When he had experience in Germany, correct. Obviously, he's had game experience that way. I think with Reece, when I watched him the other day, a lack of pace frightens me a bit. So hence why I wouldn't pick him. When you've got someone like Rashford and Martial running at you, I think you might get exposed a bit. That's why I would more go for Matt out of the fit ones.
And for you, Leo, would you agree or would you go with Reece?
I think I was like the 3 of us. I mean, it was a tough call, but I'd probably go with Phillips because exactly what Ian has said there, just a bit more experience. And I was surprised at how slow he looked trying to stop that Villa goal. He was really exposed with a through ball. And if you look at Martial and Rashford, which I think probably this is the way Solskjaer is going to set up, I wouldn't be surprised at all if both of them are playing on the wing, and if Fernandes could almost be a false 9. And I think the way United are going to try and get at us is the 2 boys coming in off the flanks with that through ball. And I think with Phillips, I think he might just be able to cope with it a bit better than Reece at the moment. Look, if Matip could miraculously get fit for Sunday, it would be such a massive plus, because even if he only plays Sunday and then he's got to wait till the following Sunday, touch wood, he doesn't get injured, we play Burnley at home on the Thursday night. And I think that's a game made for Phillips, long balls. So if they can get Matip wrapped up in cotton wool for this game against Man U, and he's done it before, he's come in from the cold and he's played exceptionally well on a one-off game. It's just unfortunate for him with his injuries. But I'd go with Phillips if Matip is not fit.
Yeah, it's a tough call for sure, and one that I'm sure we're going to talk about as the week goes on and on and on, right up to the team announcement. One thing I do want to ask, though, is do we have to worry, Ian, about stopping United and Bruno Fernandes, or do we go about playing our own game and enforce what we want to do onto the United team? Because a lot of preconceptions out there, some Liverpool fans I'm speaking to are fully expecting Solskjaer to park the bus when he comes to Anfield and play on the counter-attack. I'm not so sure, but I'd like to get another perspective on it.
I believe, bearing in mind our personnel at the moment, like Leon said, I believe they're going to try and expose the middle of our defence, knowing that obviously we've got Fabinho, which is class, but then we're probably going to have an experienced centre half. So they might look to expose that. I don't believe they will park the bus. However, I'm confident in the sense that the fact that we're at home, we have to worry about what we do. The only way we're going to keep them away from us, right, our defence, is by attacking them. So I think we need to concentrate on what we're doing. And I think we'll be okay in that sense. So I wouldn't worry in the sense that obviously what they've got, which you've got to respect. But I believe if we get going and our front three do what they need to do, then I think we'll be okay.
And Leon, I see Jason McAteer was talking today, and he said that where United are is a false position, that they will fall away, that he doesn't see them being able to hack it at the top of the table for the entire season. Do you think United are genuine title contenders? I mean, I was looking at the bookies earlier on, 8-11 for Manchester City to win the league, Liverpool 3-1. And that baffled me, mate. 3-1 for Premier League winners to win it again. I thought that was very unfair, if I'm being honest.
You could look at it the other way and call it very generous. If you're a Liverpool fan, you think,
don't worry, yeah. I'm going on it.
But in terms of what McAteer was saying about United, I think, like, looking at the league table at the minute, Liverpool as champions have dropped an awful lot of points in games that they should have won. And if we'd have turned half of those draws into victory, we'd be about 6 points clear at the top of the table. So it's an unusual season, Craig, in that you've got only something like 6 points separating first to around 6th or 7th. And there's a lot of clubs in there at the minute. I think United will fall away, come towards the real business end of the season. And that's why I think most bookmakers have them as third favourites. I still think it's a direct match between Liverpool and Man City. I think the reason why City are kind of favourites at the minute, if you look at their next 4 or 5 fixtures before we actually play Man City in February, City could win all those games. They're against a lot of the teams are bottom half of the Premier League table. Now, City last night against Brighton, little bit lucky, 1-0, missed a penalty, but you always felt they were in control. But Liverpool at the minute, our home form is exceptional. And as what Ian says is, we've got to go out there and win this match. If you look at United, their away form is exceptional. They've only dropped 2 points on the road all season. And whatever you say about that, and whatever people say that they maybe won't win the Premier League, you've got to give some credit where credit is due. They've been really good on the road. Their problem has been at Old Trafford. They won't park the bus, but I do see Man United trying to soak up pressure. I think Liverpool will dominate possession, and we've got to be patient with possession. We've got to believe in what we're doing. I think with Thiago, he can unlock a defence, and he gives us that little bit of extra spark in the middle three. I'm hoping it's going to be Henderson, Wijnaldum and Thiago in that middle. And I think with Thiago, I think he just gives us a little bit something different. And the reason I said about Klopp having 9 days with the players, I think Thiago to have 9 days with Mane, with Salah, with Bobby, to actually get to see what these guys do. You must remember, he's been injured for nearly this whole season. And he had COVID-19 as well. In my opinion, Thiago is world class. And I think if we keep him fit till the end of the season, that's the reason why Liverpool could, and I think will, retain the Premier League.
I think, Ian, that Leon is absolutely spot on with his midfield trio. I think that's what Klopp will go with. But let me throw a spanner in the works and throw something at you here. I've seen enough in that little cameo from Shaqiri and Thiago together, albeit against a very inexperienced young Aston Villa team. But to me, they were the game changer. So I'm going to throw a spanner in the works here, and I'm going to suggest that we have a midfield duo of Henderson and Thiago, then go with 3 and 1 up top. The 3 I'd go with is Shaqiri on the right-hand side, Mane on the left, Bobby in the attacking midfield role, and Salah as a lone striker. What are your thoughts on that?
It's good, but the same way you said Shaqiri, why wouldn't you say Curtis Jones?
I just seen a little wavelength. I could be picking up something completely wrong, but I've seen that they were on the same wavelength. I've seen Shaqiri dropping between the lines against Villa and Thiago being able to just find them seamlessly. Now, I'm all about Curtis Jones. Love the guy, and I would have no problem if he was in there. But I just think Shaqiri, that left boot of his, being able to find space between the lines, I just think he might give us an option if United are sitting back a bit deeper.
I would say if you're going to do that, I don't know, I think I'd probably... You said Salah up top, didn't you? Yeah,
I would go with a 4-2-3-1. So I'd have Hendo and Thiago, and then the 3 lads, and then Salah's a lone striker.
Obviously, you got Shaqiri on the right.
Shaqiri on the right, Mane on the left, and Bobby in the attacking midfield role.
Yeah, that's fine. Klopp's done that before, okay, and we've still looked threatening doing that. To be honest, when he first tried it, I was a little bit worried, thinking Salah might be a little bit lightweight up there. But it has worked with the movement behind him, which created space for him. If we were to do that, would I think anything wrong with that? Not at all. I would still go with that. But in an ideal world, the original three is what I would want. My only fear is, has Thiago got 90 minutes in him?
It's a good question. And I was actually surprised that he played so long in the recent games that he had played. And Leon, what I want to put to you, mate, is I'm a little bit concerned about Salah on the right-hand side as things stand in the front three. I'm not going to have a go at him about his form, because any player can have a little blip and he's still our top scorer. I just wonder, one, has he been found out? Or two, are we looking for an easy out ball to him up that right-hand channel? Because it seems a lot of the time with Trent or whomever it might be, we're just lobbing balls into that channel. And yes, he's got great upper body strength and he can hold players off, but we're not getting the benefit of him then being able to free up the space that the 2-3 defenders that are on him for Mane or Firmino, because he's not getting the ability to turn and release the ball. I just think it's just not working. For some reason, at the minute, I just think that right channel isn't working. Maybe
going back to what I said a little earlier, I think it's the unit, and it's not just the front three. I think even when you look at the relationship with Trent and Mo and with Robbo and Mane, it's been so strong over the past 2.5 seasons, but for different reasons. Trent hasn't been there. Mo has been moved inside. He's played a lot of games in the middle. He's gone back out to the right. Look, there's been a few different reasons. I don't think it's just down to Mo Salah, and I don't think defenders have found out Mo Salah, because he's still our top scorer. His record since he's come to the club is phenomenal, and I still think he will finish our top scorer, and I still will say it now. I think Salah will have 20+ Premier League goals over this season. I'm still convinced of that. I just feel Liverpool as a unit have to start getting back to what we've done before. We've lacked a bit of movement. It has looked a bit stagnant at times. And yes, you're right, with that long ball sometimes it is because there's not enough movement going on elsewhere around the park. We've also not been getting the ball back quickly enough. And I foresee, especially out of the blocks on Sunday, we've got to come out and dominate from the word go. And I really do think it's going to happen on Sunday. It's perfect timing. I was actually, in a way, and you might think I'm mad saying this, I was glad United beat Burnley. I really was, because they're up there now. They're 3 points clear. Now they're starting to look, okay, we're top of the league. It does bring extra pressure. They haven't been there in a while, and we want to get back to top of the league, and I think we will by 6:30 on Sunday night. And I think Mo Salah, in big games, this is a game for him to stand up, but it's also a game for Mane, for Firmino. The 3 top boys have got to show us how good they can be, and as we all know, they are.
What I found, Ian, is, and I'd love to get a perspective on this from yourself, is why do teams target Trent side? And it happens over and over and over again. There's this myth out there that Trent Alexander-Arnold can't defend, which is beyond rubbish. Now, I will go as far as to say I really highly rate Aaron Wan-Bissaka as a one-on-one defender. He's fantastic at blocking crosses at United's end. But I mean, I don't get why teams seem to target our right-hand side as a weakness. Am I missing something obvious here?
For me, it's weird, because I always used to say, when Trent came on board and everyone just talked about he can't defend, then we did really well. And in the following season, yes, he seems to be targeted. And hence, even now, as you say, he seems to be targeted. I think it's based on the fact he gets so far forward, there's gaps. When you look at the relationship that Robbo and Mane have got, Mane's forever defending and helping out. Salah, to me, I'm not saying he doesn't defend, but he doesn't do it to the extent of Mane. So therefore, people like Robertson never seem to get exposed, if you know what I mean. Because Mane's doing his work up and down, up and down. When Trent gets forward, and if Salah doesn't sometimes cover him, we look exposed. So obviously, the balls are coming over there and people saying, where's Trent, where's Trent? So if you look at Trent, he's forever running back towards his own goal a lot of the time when he's having to defend, because he's gone so far forward. So I think teams tend to push it over that way, bearing in mind he's so far forward. Now, like I said, with Robertson, I'm not saying he doesn't get forward, of course he does, but I just feel he's got that added protection with Mane, who works back for 90 minutes, and that's what I believe. Yes, out of the two, I would say Robertson, yes, is a better defender, but to say that Trent can't defend, no, I don't agree with that. Yeah, my only worry for Sunday, to be fair, his battle potentially with Rashford. There was only 2 players that I've ever worried when Trent's up against, and that used to be Sane for Man City and Rashford, because I was at Old Trafford a couple of years ago when turned him inside out, and it was horrible to watch when he scored as well. So he always tends to have a tough game against Rashford.
I'm hoping that Ollie sticks Rashford out on the right like he did mainly against Burnley, and he had Martial on the left-hand side, and I'm hoping that that's the case. But I've even seen, Leon, some Liverpool fans suggesting that Trent shouldn't start this game. Now, I'm not having any of that. I've got to be honest with you. I will be the first to admit we're not seeing the Trent Alexander-Arnold that he's capable of, but we're also seeing a Trent that is reportedly coming back from COVID, and we've seen with St. Maximum and other players, everybody's body takes different time to recover from this. And whatever about Trent Alexander-Arnold, there's nobody better we can play in that position. And I can't understand any of this start Nico or play Milner at right back. Or come on, mate. Tell me they're mad.
Craig, I'm going to give you a little statement. Form is temporary, class is permanent. And Trent Alexander-Arnold is class. And just because he's going through a bit of a bad run, he's our best right back. He's probably the best right back in the Premier League, in my opinion. When he's on his game, when he's playing 10 out of 10, I don't think I'd swap him for any other right back in the Premier League. I don't think I'd swap him for any other right back in any football league, like for that matter. He's top drawer. And this is what I'm saying. Don't be judging players on a bit of a bad run. Look, fans, we all do that sometimes, don't we? We go, oh, he's not playing well, he's not doing this. But that's just your emotion because you care about Liverpool like we all do. But Trent Alexander is class. And on his day, which I think he'll be another one on Sunday, big players, the ones that are the top drawer, they always stand up in these big matches. And this is what Liverpool have to do on Sunday. And I think they will do it. United, they're good. But I still think Liverpool at their best and this Man United side at their best, I think we win all the time. I think if both sides play to their maximum capabilities, it's a Liverpool win.
I want to step away from the game on Sunday for 1 second because I want to get your thoughts, gents, on the transfer window and the potential of Gini Wijnaldum leaving as well. So if we look at, Ian, I'll go with you first on this, mate, the centre-back scenario. We all understand that Jurgen Klopp has a list of players, and Jurgen Klopp doesn't like to settle, and Jurgen Klopp is somebody who doesn't think short-term and does think of the big picture. Do you think it's right if we go through this window, Ian, and do not sign a centre-back, or do you think it's criminal?
Do you know what? You answer that twofold. When you say go out and get a centre-back, are we talking about an experienced one where it's going to cost a lot of money, or are we talking about maybe experience but it's not going to cost as much? Bit, you know, like an older statesman that can fill a gap. Because I'd like to think
Kloppo wouldn't be going out there and bringing in an older centre-back that will block the pathway of a Reece Williams or of a Billy Kennedy or something like that. So to me, if he's going to get somebody, it will be the one he wants long-term. I can't see Klopp settling. I'd see whether it be, let's say, Ben White or whoever it might be. I think it would have to be the one he wants.
Someone like Gomez, we know he's very injury-prone. Now, if you're telling me they're looking at him and thinking, look, he's going to keep breaking down, then they've definitely got to get, like you say, someone like a Ben White or someone of that ilk. The only fear I've got is if you got the likes of Gomez coming back, okay, Maxivic keeps breaking down yet again. We've got the Rolls Royce in BBD, yeah, and then you're looking at, we've got cover. However, because you're looking at the record, I'm sure Leo will be able to say it better than me, you know, of how many games they're actually playing, I do feel we need to go out and get a centre-back for one.
What about you, Leo? Do you think there's any chance Liverpool retain this Premier League title without getting a centre-back in this window?
No. I think we need a centre-back. I just think, like, if you look at it, and if you look, say Matip goes for 2 months, which is very likely, unfortunately for the man, when he plays, when he pulls on a red shirt, he's done exceptionally well. But unfortunately, he's injury prone. So then you're left with Fabinho, Phillips, Reece Williams. Billy is probably still too inexperienced, Craig. You're talking about trying to retain a Premier League title. So you're talking about when it gets into March and you're coming into April, the pressure's going to be on. I have a feeling this league is going to be very tight up until the last maybe 2 or 3 games. I mean, I have a feeling this is going to go right to the wire because I think all sides are going to drop more points. So I think getting a centre-back, and I wouldn't be going out for a centre-back that is just a plaster. You've got to get a centre-back that you think is going to be there for the long term. Now, whether that's available in January is a different question altogether, because in this window, clubs know Liverpool are desperate for a centre-back. And even if you take Fabinho out of the back four, does our midfield even become stronger with him as the anchor? So that's another question Klopp has got to be thinking about. Am I losing out with not having him as that holding midfielder? Because he's exceptional at that as well. So I think if he picks a player, he's going to have to pay big money, but it's the player that he wants long-term, then I think, yes, we need to go out and buy that player. And I think the club will back him if he identifies that target.
I have to be honest, gents, in the summer when the manager decided not to act for whatever reason on the centre-back and rolled the dice after Dejan Lovren left, I fully supported that decision because I couldn't see, I don't think any of us could see that we're going to lose Virgil van Dijk for the entire season and we're going to lose Joe Gomez for the guts of the entire season. I think even the most pessimistic of us would have thought that that was highly unlikely. But it's happened, and there's an argument, Ian, to say that, well, it's the job of the manager and the club to plan for such eventualities. But I would argue back, mate, that we're in extraordinary times here. And the only reason that we even got Thiago and Diogo Jota in was because of the way the deals were structured. So I think it was a calculated roll of the dice, Ian, and I think it's blown up in Klopp's face, unfortunately. But I have to say, I did back his decision in the summer not to replace Lovren because he couldn't get the man he wanted.
You need to remember as well, Craig, yeah, that up until the last 3 games where we stuttered a bit, we were actually doing all right without VVD. No one was saying anything about centre-back then. It's only in the last 3 games where we've been struggling. All of a sudden, it's like, And I think the one that brought it to the fore was obviously when he played Hendo as centre-back the other day. Then everyone was like, whoa, what's happened here? Yeah. But up until that point, those 3 games, we were actually doing all right. So no one was saying, oh, we need a centre-back. But that's the thing with fans. We can be so fickle at times. Something goes wrong. It's like, oh, well, it's this person's fault, that person. We need this, we need that. You know, it doesn't work like that. Yes, it was a calculated roll of dice, and it was working up till 3 games ago. But now it's come to the fore. But, you know, going back to your original question, yes, we definitely need the one. And like Leon said, the problem you got is, yes, they know that we're desperate, so straight away the price goes up. You already had the manager today, was it, or yesterday, talk about Kabali. You want 100 million for him. So you think to yourself, really? Paying more than what we pay for VVD in this climate? To
be fair, De Laurentiis has been looking for mad money for Koulibaly at Napoli for a long time, and I think he should cop that. Like, nobody's paying it, mate. Nobody's knocking your door down. City wanted the centre back, United wanted the centre back. Nobody's paying that money for Koulibaly. I think he just needs to get his head out of the clouds. To get back to the United game, gents, before we finish up, Leon, I'm looking at that United starting 11, and recently we've seen McTominay and Fred as the holding 2 for United. But then we've seen Pogba come in against Burnley and play in midfield. And Pogba, to me, is one of those players who, even if he doesn't show up, is capable of that one moment of unlocking a defence or that moment of brilliance. And what are you expecting from Solskjaer when he rocks up at Anfield? Do you think he's going to go with McTominay and Fred as a 2 with Bruno ahead of them, or do you think he'll put Pogba in there?
I think you're probably going to see McTominay, you're going to see Fred definitely sitting in front of a back 4. And then I think you're going to see Pogba in the middle as well. And I do actually think Fernandes is going to be a false 9, because I actually think the way Solskjaer will set it up is, I think Cavani will be left out. I think Martial and Rashford will give the pace down the wings. And with Fernandes, with that false 9, he becomes very dangerous because he can move into positions that it's very hard for a centre-back to go follow him if he drops deep. It's very hard for one of our midfielders to keep an eye on him if he's just playing in between the lines. And if you look at sometimes how Man City use kind of a De Bruyne sometimes, that's a similar role I kind of foresee of Fernandes playing at Anfield on Sunday. He's going to have a free role to just go wherever he wants and create damage. But I think we can keep an eye on him. I really do, because I feel if he goes with Hendo, Thiago and Gini, I think Jordan will be the man who'll sit. And I think we'll have Thiago and Wijnaldum either side of Jordan. But I do feel with United, I think that's how they're going to set up. I think he will want McTominay and Fred to protect his back 4, because you must remember with United as well, Wan-Bissaka is probably the best one-on-one defender in terms of getting tackles in, but his final ball is not the best. On the left, will it be Shaw or will it be, is it Tellez? So the other guy who's come in for United. They do like to get forward a bit. You know, and that does give them a bit of width when Rashford and Martial tuck in off the wings. And that's what I was saying earlier. I think that's where they're going to try and target Liverpool. The two boys coming in off the wings to try and go between our fullback and our centre-backs. But I do feel with United, they will be happy, obviously, taking a point from Anfield. It's not up to them to actually go and win this game. So the pressure is on Liverpool. You're at home. You're 3 points behind them. You want to get the win to get back level. But United would gladly take a point right now, go back to Old Trafford and be 3 points clear of Liverpool. But I do feel Liverpool have got to be patient when they are in possession. I do feel we're going to have the ball a lot more than Manchester United will. We do ordinarily in most games anyway dominate possession, but I think United will try and hit us on the counter-attack.
Ian, do you think Klopp sticks somebody on Fernandes and says follow him around the pitch, or do you think that we just play for position and allow him some space between the lines and then press? What would you do if you were Klopp?
We never play where we mark someone out of the game. We play to our strengths. I think obviously with Hendo playing in there, I think it'll be up to him to pick him up. I think we'll look at him to pick him up when he drops in there, because I remember watching a segment when they were looking at how we play and so forth. And when our players go forward, Henderson always tends to drop back and he still makes that three.
Actually, it started on the Brendan Rodgers. He drops back, splits the centre-backs and becomes a trio.
That's right. That's right. So I believe he will pick up Fernandes when he drops in those little pockets, personally. I don't think Klopp will turn around and say, look, I want you to mark him and that's it. No, we don't play like that. We don't play like that.
And one thing, Leon, that I wanted to get your thoughts on is I think Liverpool are almost playing 10 yards deeper than we used to. And the reason I say that is the system that we play with that high line, we need to be winning the ball up the top. We need to defend from the front. And one of the reasons we play the system we play and we press so much is, one, if you give, let's say, a centre-back like Bailly or Maguire who can play a long ball, or a midfielder like Pogba, if you give them time to get the head up and have a look, the pace of Rashford, Martial, if we're playing that high line, they can kill us. So we need Salah, we need Mane, we need Firmino, whoever it is, pressing and winning the ball back high up the pitch, which of course in turn means you're closer to the opposition's goal. But defending from the front, to me, is something we just haven't been doing enough of lately. I think that's more of an issue than the centre-back thing. What
I was saying earlier, Liverpool are trying to get back to the way they used to play, and that was that high press. They're in your face. You do not get a second to get your head up and make that pass. And the reason we're playing deeper, I also believe right now, Craig, is we're missing the pace of Gomez and Van Dijk. I mean, if you look at Gomez and Van Dijk and you say to yourself, do you know what? In a one-on-one sprint, I'm going to back both of them, because that's how we've been so successful. We've played so high because Klopp knows, and VVD and Joe is one of the quickest centre-backs I've ever seen. When he turns and he goes, he can make up yards so quick. So when they're not playing, you automatically have got to sit 10 yards deeper, because Fabinho, and if it's Phillips or if it's Matip or if it's Reece, they're not quick enough for a one-on-one sprint. So it's even more important then for the front three to push Manchester United back. You do not let them get head up, get a bit of space, look for a pass. That can't be happening. And it's a massive thing, Craig, and that's why I feel we're 10 yards deeper. We don't have that pace at the centre-back partnership.
You know what? He took every word out of my mouth, what I was going to say, because I was going to let him finish, and basically that's what I was going to say. The reason why we're deeper is because we haven't got the pace of those two, but he said it all. 100% I agree.
One thing then, to me, if we are to get back to what Leon's talking about, that's vitally important as well, as that Alisson's patrolling the edge of his 18-yard box and ready to get out and do that sweeper-keeper role. Because I think one of the reasons Leon Klopp has stuck with the high line, so I think VAR actually plays into this, because he knows if his fullbacks get it right, and the centre-backs, if they time the line right, and even if the ref allows play to go, VAR will get it and call it back if it's offside. So it's no more a matter of relying on a linesman to get the decision right. He knows the technology is there. I think that's one of the reasons why, as you touched on with Van Dijk and Gomez, we have that really high line, sometimes ridiculously high, because he knows VAR is there to catch it if the linesman misses it.
Well, I think it's a percentage game, Craig. You know, and you know, if a striker tries to just beat that offside, we know if they're just onside, the boys will turn, and 9 times out of 10 they'll beat them in a race. So that's why you play it. But what it also does is it squeezes the pitch. It makes the pitch a lot smaller. And when the pitch is a lot smaller, it makes it a lot easier to press. And that's how we've been so successful. If you condense the size of a pitch, it makes it smaller for the boys to sprint around and chase that ball back. And I think we will see that from Liverpool on Sunday. I fully expect us to go back to what's made us so successful. Get on the front foot. And as Ian said, we will not change our game for any opposition. We will bring our A game. And that's good enough to beat Manchester United. And that's why I'm expecting it from the start. High level, high tempo. Absolutely let them know you're at the home of the champions and you're in for a rough afternoon.
You know, final topic before we finish up. The officials, they have to be strong in this game, mate. We have, this is, the whole world is watching now. The Premier League officials and VAR have to step up for this game and lay down the marker early. If they're going to allow crunch tackles, allow it from the off. If they're going to, you know, be picking up on every little thing, we just need consistency, mate. Whatever happens in this game, I don't want to be sitting here on Sunday evening talking about referees and VAR again. I want to be talking about the magnificence of the game and whoever wins for whatever reason, giving them the praise that they deserve. I'm sick of talking about referees.
I agree. I don't think it was a good shout by Klopp saying what he said though, about the Man United and the penalties. I think he just opened up a can of worms. I thought, oh, when he said it, I'm like, oh my God. You know what I mean? You just think, oh, you know, you can imagine how we get a close penalty shout on Sunday and we don't get it. Right, you know what's going to happen. So that's the only thing. Great what you said. You're right. We do need strong referees, but I just don't think it was the right thing to talk about them before the game. It just sets the precedent.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, yeah, and it's probably something different from Klopp. We haven't really, in the time he's been there, witnessed him getting kind of involved with, I was going to say minor details, and they are kind of minor details when you look at it. I think it will all swing around, hopefully, eventually, that every team will get their fair share of bad luck and their fair share of good luck. But what you want, the word I take from what both of you guys have said is consistency. And that's what every football fan wants, whether you're a Manchester United fan, a Liverpool fan come Sunday. If everything is consistent and it's done exactly the same way from the first minute till the 95th or how many minutes they play, then no one should have any complaints. And you want it to be fair for both sides. And you know, there has been some VAR decisions that have gone against Liverpool. Maybe there's been some VAR decisions last year that went for Liverpool. You could look back at it and say, I'm a firm believer everyone gets their fair rub of the green. So you want to go out there on Sunday, let the best team win. But as I said again, I think Liverpool, the onus is on them to go and win this game. And that brings a little bit of added pressure, whereas I think Manchester United would be very content to take a point.
Ian, last topic. Do you think Klopp looks a little bit rattled this season? Have we seen a different side to Jurgen Klopp, or is it just a human side to him because of what's going on in the world right now and the fact he's a family man and, you know, he's worried about his loved ones and his team and everything else? Or do you think that he is a little bit shook? He is a little bit... he's a little bit more prickly, like with that Des Kelly interview. There's something about him that just seems a little bit different.
I think it's a touch of both, to be honest with you. I do think he's rattled a little bit. I think with those 3 games, when you look at the teams we played, he'd been fully expecting to get maximum points. I think he's seen Man City start to turn the screw a bit and go on a run, right? And like you say, at the moment, they're the team that really look like going on a proper run again. Man United, look, you got to give them credit. They are where they are. You know, the thing with them, there was no pressure on them. You know, everyone was going about Ollie's on his way out, he's on his way out. So they quietly went about their business. And before you know it, you turn around, they're top of the league, right? So like Leon said earlier, in the piece, the pressure's on them. But for Klopp, personally, yeah, I do think he's slightly rattled. I think he's seen a good opportunity where we could be getting into this game maybe 5-6 points ahead with our 3 points behind. And I think that has told, that I think if we go on Sunday, do a brilliant game and we win, I don't win 2-0, whatever, but win the game convincingly, I think you may see Klopp get his mojo back. But I think at the moment, personally, I do think he's a little bit rattled.
Yeah, it's certainly coming across that he is a little bit. But look, gents, finally, before I let you go, I'll come to you both. And Ian, I'll stick with you while I have you here. Predictions, mate. How do you see the game panning out on Sunday?
2-1 to us.
Nice. And Leon, how do you see it panning out on Sunday?
I'm going to go the exact same way. 2-1 to Liverpool. I think United will score. I think they're good enough. They've got enough threats individually and collectively as a team to get one goal. I'm going to go with Salah to score first, and I'm going to go Liverpool to win 2-1. I think we will get the victory. It's a massive game, and I just think Ian said it earlier, it's the best opponent to ever get out of a blip. This is the biggest rivalry, Liverpool versus Manchester United. This is why you play for Liverpool or you play for Man United. These are the games that excite you as a player. These are the ones that you're looking at this all week and you're thinking, I'm facing my biggest rival and I want to get the better of him. And kind of why I say that too is the individual battles on the pitch. Win your battle, and then collectively your team will get the just rewards.
I'll tell you what, Leon, you have me ready to go, mate. I'm fully ready for a Rocky montage now, and I'm out there and wax on, wax off, Mr. Miyagi stuff in the backyard. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
Well, you know what? I mean, if you don't get excited as this as a fan, if you don't get excited as this as a player, a coach, a manager, anyone connected with both clubs, then I don't know why you're involved in it. Because these games, to me, I'm already dying for 4:30 on Sunday. Can't wait for it.
It's certainly setting up to be a big one, folks. And look, massive thank you to Leon and to Ian for joining me. You'll see these guys every couple of weeks. We'll be having regular chats on the channel. Thank you to you guys for watching. If you've enjoyed it, please do hit that subscribe button. Drop a like on the video as well. And again, thank you to the both gents for coming on today. And look, 4:30 Sunday, be there. It's massive. I think we'll get the job done as well. I think I'm going 2-0. I think we'll go 1-0 up and we'll pinch a late one on the counter. A repeat of Mohamed Salah again, hopefully. And look, whatever happens, may the best team win on Sunday, and let's hope we're talking about it because of the performances and not because of the referees. Up the Reds.